For project number 2, we're going to make a portfolio website. And again, just like on project 1, we're going to extend the idea of variable fonts. So as I can see, as I hover, we have this variability. So we're using this font called Bandine's Strange. We'll talk about that in a second. What we're also going to add to this project is the idea of JavaScript. Now, as I scroll down the page, notice how this font changes. This text is changing as I scroll up and down the page. How do we do things on scroll? We know how to do things on hover, it's part of CSS, but how do we do things on scrolling down the page? We have to use something else called JavaScript. We'll come to that a little bit later. But first, how do I find these variable fonts? How do I make sure that I can use them in projects? Well, a good first step is to look at the site vfonts.com. You can see here there's lots and lots of these kind of fonts that we can use, and all of them are variable. We can change this up and down, and we can kind of pick and choose the styles of things that we want. So it's a really good place to start, v-fonts.com. As you can see, as you start to scroll up and down, you might be like, maybe we could use something like, oh, maybe this one is a pretty good one. As I can see, as I start to change things around, I can change the display of those. So notice how some of the letter forms are changing too. The width of these, again, I can start to play around with these. A lot of these fonts are paid, so it depends on if you want to use them on professional projects or not. You do have to pay for them to use them. So something like GT Alpina by GrillyType is paid, but there are lots of free ones on here as well. If I scroll down, the next one is free for personal and commercial use. So if I do want to use this one, it's pretty much the same idea. All I need to do is change how the stuff looks. I can change it as I want. Now on this, I did find one of these fonts called Bandine's, and it's in 2 different styles. One is Sans, which is pretty cool as well. So I can use this one if I don't want the kind of weirdness in here. Here's the kind of like variable type one. And the one I do want to use is Bandine's Strange, which has these kind of like weird elements in here. As you can see, I've got the font size that can change, the weight can change, but I've got this strange width as well. So it can make it really big and kind of really mess around with a lot of the type. So for something like this kind of portfolio website, it is a style that I want to use. It's something a little bit stranger, something a little bit weirder than the normal. So what we're going to do, just like in the last project, is we're going to start by making the project with HTML and CSS. And then what we'll do is we'll start to add more and more layers to this.